Tarpley speaking from Washington, D.C. So we've gone through the collapsing real economy, the jobless up, and of course we're in the area of 25% real unemployment. If you wanted to get full employment in the United States, you would need 30 million new, well-paid, productive jobs at union wages with full benefits. And that is why I have a 5-point program on the website, tarpley.net. Tarpley.net gives you a 5-point program on 2 pages. Not long to read. It's dense, it's concise, but it's pretty much all in there. And it calls, therefore, for 30 million new jobs to be created as fast as possible. That would get you to full employment. That's the most meaningful economic reform, because at that point, your social problems become soluble. If you don't do it, your social problems are all insoluble, and it also opens the door to further expansion. So that's Tarpley.net. You want to keep up with the entire crisis at Tarpley.net. Now let's look against the background of this very grim economic news and the growing awareness that there never was a recovery. The double dip is a misnomer because there never was an undip. It was a depression all along, as we've been telling you here, I think, with as much clarity as we can muster. Let's look now, what's the perspective here? The banking sector, not looking good, for example, today, and it's Friday, today's Friday, the 20th of August. So we've got the overall New York market is down about 100 points on the Dow. So we're looking at down about 100 points today. The S&P is at about 1067, 1068. S&P is sitting a couple of points above that landmark 1065 flash crash level, which is thought to represent some kind of support on the S&P. The euro is showing weakness now in the wake of the events of last week. Euro's down about 1 penny and a quarter on the dollar. So we've still got that dollar Dow trade-off. In other words, if the euro, if the stock market goes down, the euro goes down with it, and so forth, based on that. But in the middle of all this, the performance of the banking sector, rather grim. Bank of America is down 1.5% today. So Bank of America is going to cost you $12.83 a share. Union Bank of Switzerland, $16.43 a share. That's down 2.25%. Citibank down about 1.75%. Goldman Sachs managing to put in a gain. The clouds are gathering around this banking system, and we hear on CNBC today various people warning about what the future holds for Bank of America, Wells Fargo. We have an independent story on Citibank being in trouble coming in. So September is just around the corner, and that means 2 years ago, the mid-September, Ides of September, September 15th, total panic that in effect destroyed the entire New York and London banking systems. Will this be repeated? It's certainly possible. When you get Bank of America going below 13, then the shorts begin to gather. We may have the various David Einhorns of the world and others coming in to begin driving these companies, these banks into the abyss. Of course, they are bankrupt. You couldn't do it in this case if they weren't bankrupt in the beginning. Therefore, this is on the whole a very ominous pattern. Concerning the stimulus, right, we're told that the Obama regime is now looking forward to electoral defeat in November in the Congress, and they're thinking about whatever happened to that stimulus and why was it parceled out in such a slow, ineffective, impotent way. And we're reminded of the key historical role of somebody like Harry Hopkins. Harry Hopkins was somebody who worked for Franklin D. Roosevelt in the beginning of 1933. He was able to put 4 to 5 million people on Federal Emergency Relief Administration grants, right? In other words, a dole, but supplemented by by relief with work being involved, if possible. FERA. That simply saved 4 to 5 million families from total destitution. And these are things you have to do, not because they're going to create a stimulus themselves, but because you've got to save your labor power, your trained, capable, healthy workforce with families intact and their social fabric intact is absolutely your key resource in anything you want to do, whether it's economics or defense or any other great national project. So you've got to maintain your workforce. And then later on in the year, as 33 turned into 34 and a very grim winter came on, that was the time for Civil Works Administration, CWA, and he was able to get about 6-7 million people onto those roles within, 2 months, right? Much faster than anything that was done in World War I. And this, of course, the ability of Harry Hopkins to do that in 33, 34 prefigures his ability really to contribute something unique to World War II, the victory in World War II, impossible without Lend-Lease. And then you look inside Lend-Lease, the U.S. producing for Soviet Union, Britain, Australia, United States, everybody else fighting the Axis. You'll see that the Lend-Lease expediter, the key one, is always Harry Hopkins, always pushing forward war production. And it's that logistical basis that allows fascism and Nazism to be defeated, even though, of course, the reactionary businessmen, the proto-Austrians of our time, right, the people who were supporting the Liberty League and the Sentinels of the Republic and the Silver Shirts and the National Association of Manufacturers and the Foundation for Economic Education, all these reactionaries were very, very, very soft on Hitler and basically in love with Mussolini, and it took a long time for them to even drop the rhetorical pretense. So that's what we need in that regard. Unfortunately, here in the United States today, we're not addressing the real economic questions. We're talking about the New York mosque, and we're talking about the Arizona illegal alien law. We're talking about gay marriage. We were talking about Mrs. Sherrod and what had she said. The entire ruling class of the United States, this transcends party, is interested in preventing a realistic discussion of your economic predicament, your perspectives, and what you ought to do about that. And again, the National Bureau of Economic Research has done nothing to help in that regard. I am amazed to see leftists come forward and say that Imam Faisal Rauf of the planned, proposed, hypothetical mosque in Lower Manhattan is a good guy because he worked for Bush and he works for the FBI. Isn't there an inkling that he might be a provocateur from the FBI and that's what the FBI wanted, that they wanted to pull a stunt of this sort to inflame all kinds of communitarian, confessional resentments and hatreds? Could be. We'll be back in a minute on World Crisis Radio.